DreAllDay.com.
What's up, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Today is Friday, January 24th. It's about 12 noon. We're going to get into this Q&A. This is Q&A number 3. As always, I have not even looked at these questions yet, so basically I'm going to go through each question. I'm going to answer the good ones. The whack questions will be omitted. I might let you know if I'm omitting a whack question. As far as anyone who has further questions after this Q&A, after you've seen the first one, the second one, and this one, the third one, leave your questions in the comments to this video, and then next week I'll answer those questions, the questions that are in these comments, in the next video. And again, if you read the comments of this video that you're watching right now, do not go in the comments and start replying to shit. The questions are left for me. I'll address the questions in the next video. It's the only warning I give for that. So let's get right into it. First question is from, this guy's name is Bros Before Hoes. And he said, just his question is, he was jumping and he was dunking, his vertical was going up because he was jumping hard, his vertical got better because he was just practicing jumping hard every day. And then he got, his knees start hurting, he had jumper's knee, then eventually he got over the jumper's knee, but the thing is he's a bit scared of jumping like he used to because he's worried that he'll get jumper's knee again, but he wants to jump higher. Do I have any advice on how he can get rid of that belief? Listen, Bros Before Holes, not hoes, but holes, H-O-L-E-S. Listen, man, you already know what your options are. I mean, in general, when people in life, when people ask for advice, they already know what they need to do. They just want to hear somebody else tell it to them. You already know what your options are. Your options are A, get over your fear, start jumping again like you used to, or B, live out the rest of your basketball career or playing days or able-bodied days, whatever you want to call it, not jumping because you're afraid of trying it, and then you be 50 years old and be like, damn, why was I scared to jump and why didn't I try it again? Those are your two options. So either you're going to get over it or you're not. There's nothing I can tell you. There's no magic words I got for you that's going to make you not scared. If you're scared, like I always say, if you're scared, get a dog. That's just something we say back in Philly where I'm from. But either you're going to figure it out or you're not. Nothing I can tell you. You already know what your choices are. Choose one and live with it. Next question. Holy clutch. Do I ever think about giving up on basketball? No. Christy Lee says, what does your intro mean? It says DreAllDay.com. It's the name of my website. I don't understand what kind of question it is. Ban1RX says, how many hours a day do I have to work to make it to college or the NBA? I know the more the better, but what do I recommend? I don't recommend any certain amount. People ask this often, how many hours do you need to train? And I'm sure all you heard the cliche. I see it all the time in the comments or on Twitter and shit. It's not how many hours you put into the work, it's the work that you put into the hours, or whatever the fuck it is. It's what you're getting done that matters. It's not about how much time. If I go in the gym for 5 hours and I spend 4 hours, sitting on my phone playing on Instagram, then that don't mean I put in 5 hours of work. It's what you do in the time that you're actually working. What do you accomplish? What are you working on? What are you getting better at? If you need some workouts to get better, hoophandbook.com, or you figure it out, whatever it is you need to work on. But it's not about a certain amount of time. That's been asked millions of times, but everybody should know that there's no certain amount of time that will make you better at basketball. It matters what you're doing while you're taking the time, whether it be 10 minutes, whether it be 3 hours. A person doing 10 minutes of hard work can get better faster than a person doing 3 hours of bullshit. Next question. Cliff Harris says, what's some drills I can do for ball handling, quickness, and agility? Look at my channel, Cliff. You on YouTube. Snapback says, I'm 12 and I'm an NBA. I want to be an NBA player. He made the team as a red shirt, which is basically an extra on the team, he says. He said, is that okay, or will it determine my entire NBA career? All right, first of all, Snapback, you already know the answer to that. That's kind of a stupid fucking question. You know that that's not going to determine the rest of your life. Nobody in the NBA is watching you and writing you off now saying, all right, we'll forget this 12-year-old because he only made the red shirt team. You already know that. This is another question with the advice where you already know the answer. And this person named Adrian came in here and responded. So Adrian, I got to block you off my channel just because of the very fact that I said multiple times, don't come in here responding to shit. So Snapback, that's the answer to your question. Hezekiah Walker says, what's the most points I ever had in a game? The professional game, I had 39. I had a game in Mexico, 39. The most I had in any game in the rec league, I scored 60 in a game outside of Philly, suburbs of Philly. I forget the name of the town. And that was probably like 06, 07. Ross Fisher asked me some questions about my personal business. I don't address that stuff on YouTube, so don't ask me. Sachin Ramraj says, who's my favorite NBA player currently? I don't really have any one favorite guy, but I say if all the players was playing at once and I had to pick one player to watch, I'd probably watch the Heat to see LeBron James. So I say LeBron. Mario Rincon says, some people tell me I'm stiff when it comes to my handles. How can I stop being stiff, and what does it mean to be stiff? All right, first of all, Mario, sometimes people tell you that it's stiff. How can you stop being stiff? Number one, somebody says something to you and you automatically say that you need to make a change. First of all, you need to work on yourself. It's not about them. Somebody tells you something doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. That's their opinion. If you don't even know, and then number two, you said, what does it mean to be stiff? You don't know what the word stiff means, then why the fuck do you want to not be it? You don't even know what it means. So you're the fool here. All right, they said something about you, you don't even know what it means, but you automatically want to change it. That makes no sense whatsoever. Third thing, you on the internet, somebody called you stiff, you don't know what stiff means. Use the fucking dictionary and find out what the word means, and then use your brain to think, does this apply to me? Is this something I want to change? Does this make sense? Will it help me? Will it hurt me? Those are the things you need to think of using your brain, not YouTube, not comments, not asking people questions. So Mario, the first thing you need to do is find out what stiff means, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you. You on the internet, get on the dictionary and figure it out, and then use your brain and think and figure if that applies to you or if it doesn't. And if it does, then since you'll know what the word means, then you'll know what the opposite of it is, and then you'll know what you need to do. As far as drills and workouts, they're all here on my channel. Go to my channel, go to the playlist. Anything you can name is covered. So you need to learn what that definition means. I think you already do, but if you don't, then you know where to go find it. Heart over height says, do I have any tips on diet for basketball players? I try to get a lot of carbs at the beginning of the day to give me energy, and take a lot of protein at the end of the day. Heart over height, I have a whole playlist called Diet and Nutrition. There's also an entire page on my website. My website's called dreallday.com. I'm sure all y'all know that since at the beginning of every video. There's a page on there called Diet and Nutrition with a bunch of links, a bunch of videos, not only my videos, but other people's videos, and links not only from me, but links from experts, people who know way more about diet and nutrition and how it affects the body for athletes than I do. So go to my website, go to the Diet and Nutrition page. It is all covered in more detail than you would even want. Joseph Morales, do I think anything stunts gross? All these myths, coffee, lifting weights, drinking before a workout, etc. No, there is no scientific proof that lifting weights or coffee or drinking pre-workout, I never even heard of that. There's no scientific proof that any of that stuff stunts growth. So if you hear anybody say that, ask them where they got their information from, and if they can't tell you, which they won't be able to because it's not true, there's no proof of it, then you'll know that it's bullshit. Velen Stoyanov, he said there's a line between being fit and being in basketball shape, but he can't understand it. Could I explain that weightlifting makes you slower, not as agile, and English isn't his first language? All right. Well, Velen, your English is fine. There is definitely a line between being fit and being in basketball shape. When you play basketball, there's a lot of running and jumping, so you need to be able to move and move and move over and over again while minimizing the amount of fatigue. We all will feel fatigue. It's just how quickly you come back from feeling fatigue and you can go again. That's the difference between being in shape and not in shape. It's not an absence of fatigue. There's no such thing as an absence of fatigue. Even marathon runners, they get tired. It's just that they can keep going because they train to work through the fatigue. Whereas a person who's just quote unquote fit, they get fatigued and they need to stop. That's the difference between being in shape and not being in shape as far as the sport is concerned. And when we're talking about basketball, he says, does lifting weight make you slower? That's a loaded question. It depends on the person. If I lift weights and I put on 30 pounds, am I going to be slower? Probably. But if you take a skinny kid who doesn't have any power and you give him 30 pounds, if he puts it on the right places and trains at the same time, it might make him faster, it might make him stronger, it might make him jump higher, make him a better player, more explosive. So that's a loaded question. It can't be answered like that. That's not enough information. So you have to look at yourself. You have to assess your own body and say, if I add strength, let's say if I add 10 pounds of muscle in my chest, is that going to bother my lower body? If I add 10 pounds of muscle in my legs, it's going to make me faster. It's going to give me a stronger base to box out, to hold my position in the paint. There are a lot of factors that go into adding weight. So it's not a general getting bigger and adding weight will make you slower. That's not necessarily the truth. You look at somebody like LeBron James. When he was 18 in high school, he was kind of a skinnier guy than he is now. He's probably put on 30, 40 pounds since he joined the NBA, but he's probably faster now than he was then. So it's not necessarily about adding weight and making you slower. If you look at somebody like Shaq, when he was in college, he was probably faster than he was maybe at the end of his NBA career when he was heavier. So gaining weight for him made him a little bit slower, but it's all predicated on that person's body, where they add the weight, how they add the weight, and what type of training they're doing as they're adding the weight, and what they're adding the weight for. What are they doing on the court when they're out there playing? So all of these things factor in. There's hundreds of factors. So there's no general answer to that question that lifting weights makes you slower. That's absolutely false. Depends on how, when, where, and who. A$AP Lamar says, I love you, I really do. All right, thanks, A$AP. He left like 10 comments on the last one. So A$AP, chill out leaving all these comments, unless you got a question. iDaniel40, but I do appreciate it. iDaniel40 says, do I think there's a specific age you had to be before you start lifting weights? He's 13, he's not sure if it's bad for me or not. It's a good question, but that has been addressed here on this channel. My trainer Maria, who wrote a program on hoophandbook.com called The Position of Power Strength Training Program. I did a 30-minute video with Maria asking her multiple questions about strength training. That video is on my YouTube channel, so just search Dre Baldwin Position of Power. You'll see the Q&A video where she addresses that question. Now, one thing you should know, iDaniel, is that if you're going to ask a question like that, you need to ask someone who's an expert in the body, not a basketball player. I'm a basketball player. I'm not an expert in the body and training and how old somebody should be to lift. I know the answer because I know someone who's an expert, who is my trainer, Maria Soul and Scholar. And I know all you may not have access to a trainer, which is why I did the Q&A video with her so that everybody has the information. So go check that video out and you can see her answer to that question. I believe she said you can start as young as 12, but it is very important that you know what you're doing. Doesn't mean you just go in there and start benching like you see some 25-year-old man doing. You need to know exactly what you're doing, and you need to build a base of functional strength before you start trying to do things that your body is not ready for. But again, go listen to the video. If you get the Position of Power program, she wrote it all out in detail. The introduction to the program is like 5-10 pages long itself. You read all that information, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about, what I'm referring to, and then you'll know for yourself what you can do, what you can't do as far as strength training for your age. A$AP Lamar asked a dumb question that's getting ignored. Max Brower says, are you one of the best or best players on the team you play on, or are you a role player coming off the bench? Well, I'm a free agent right now, so there's no current team, but depending on the team I'm on, that really depends on the team I'm on. That can fluctuate seriously. It could be a heavy fluctuation depending on where I'm playing and who I'm playing with. So until I know who I'm playing with, I can't really say, I can't really answer that. Excuse me. Nehemiah Brown says, how much water should I drink every day? I've read places there are people who give certain ratios. I don't know what the numbers are, but you can Google that, Nehemiah. Mecca Hood said, you mentioned reading as a side hobby. What genre am I interested in and why? Why would it have to only be one genre? Yes, I read a ton. Mecca Hood, if you go to my website, dreallday.com, click on the link that says books I read, and you'll see links to reviews of all the types of books I read so you can see for yourself. Dayman says, his name is Adam. Do I have any tips for post players? Mental, skills, and practice drills. Dayman, do you know who you're talking to? You on my channel. Go to my channel, Post Moves playlist. There's over 100 videos in that playlist. Go to hoophandbook.com. Post Moves workout programs. There are 3 separate Post Moves programs there. Even signature workouts. LeBron James, there are Post Moves in that program. Tim Duncan, there are Post Moves in that. Michael Jordan program, Kobe Bryant program. And then the next set that's coming out, Blake Griffin, Tracy McGrady. These are all players, Paul Pierce. These are all players for whom there are post moves involved. And yes, there are mental tips and skills involved. If you go to my channel, I got a whole playlist on mental game and motivation. All of this stuff is already here on YouTube at your access. You just got to go look for it. It's right there for you. On my channel, go to the playlist. Joey Bernal says, do I have any tips or exercises on conditioning for basketball? Your videos really help, so thanks. So Joey, you know my videos help, but you don't know I did conditioning. That's cool. Go to my playlist. On the channel, my channel, go to the playlist. Conditioning. I got a whole playlist on conditioning. I got a playlist on athleticism. I got a playlist on speed and quickness. Got a playlist on strength training. Got a playlist on abs and core. Got a playlist for Pilates. And this is all off the court training. This is all non-basketball skill training. Yes, I do have playlists for conditioning. Even got a mini Hoop Handbook program called Conditioning on the hoophandbook.com website. I think it's $2.99 conditioning. Bunny Wade J says, have I ever had to deal with nagging injuries before, and how do you deal with them? I haven't had any certain nagging injuries. I think the thing that bothers a basketball player most as you get up in the years, your knees bother you. You need to do certain exercises for strengthening the knees, stabilizing the knees. If you watch the videos I put out, especially the athleticism, strength training, I got a playlist called Knee Stabilization. You'll see the exercises for the knees. If you can't find it, which a lot of people say to me as if they need their hand to be held, just put in my name in the search bar, Dre Baldwin, type in the word knee, K-N-E-E, and you'll see all the stuff I've done for the knee. But I haven't had any certain nagging injuries. But if you do have an injury, you deal with it. I mean, there is no how to deal with it. You figure out what the problem is, you address it, you do what you need to do to get back on the court, and then you do it. That's all there is to it. GJ, a bunch of other letters. It says, do I play 2K and do I watch Chris Smooth? No and no. King Homer says, how many rebounds do I usually average per game? Similar to the question I was asked earlier, that can fluctuate heavily depending on who I'm playing with. As you saw the video I put out when I was in Slovakia, I was playing damn near power forward and damn near center for a game where I could get 10, 15 rebounds because I'm down there. I could play on another team where I'm playing point guard and shooting guard position. So it can fluctuate heavily depending on the playing situation. Guy Itidi Charcody. I know I butchered your name, Guy, but his name's Guy. He says, I'm planning to get the Chris Paul program. He has a question. Is it digital? Do you get it on your computer? Do you have to print it or something like that? It is digital. You will get access as soon as you finish payment. You'll get an email for it. It's accessible online. You can put it on your phone, your iPad, or whatever, so you can take it with you to the court or the gym. Drado220 says, my parents tall, do I have siblings? I just posted a picture of my entire immediate family on Instagram. My Instagram is at Dre Baldwin, one word, Dre Baldwin. My parents are not tall. I have a sibling, I have a sister, she's a year older than me. So I guess I got lucky. I hit the lottery in terms of height. Clyde Edmonds says, what are my plans for the summer? Because he thinks that I should start a summer workout camp or something, just suggesting what do I think. You had to wait till the summer to see what I do, Clyde. Mr. Q-Ball 864. He says, do I think I could date his sister so that way we can work out together? Q-Ball, send me a picture of your sister and we'll talk from there. Maybe. Rob J says, he says he agrees with me. Usually the guy with all the flashy clothes is usually a bum. Did I say that? But whatever. Swole Buddha says, I'm sure you've already thought about it. You should open up a gym or something. Good idea. You have to wait and see if that happens. State of Nate. He says, what do I think is more satisfying as a player? Swishing a three or getting a solid dunk? Most satisfying thing is to win the game. I mean, a point is a point. I mean, 3 points is worth more than 2, but whatever you need to do to win the game, don't matter how. Jamie Gonzalez says, which basketballs do I use? Name, brand, and price. Wow. Jamie, first of all, if you want to know what basketballs I use, I have a video on that, which basketballs I use. Just search my name, basketballs I use. I don't remember the exact title of the video. I got almost 4,000 videos here. I'll be forgetting the titles. But if you search, you will find it. It is here on YouTube. Name, brand, I don't even know, and price. Hell no, man. Go to goddamn sporting goods store, Amazon, or wherever you search online. You're on the internet and find the price yourself. Don't ask me to tell you the price. What the fuck I look like? Your personal assistant? Flame 2407. Does basketball get you girls? I don't know. If you score enough points. Ali Foy says, what's the difference between mentally between the average NBA player and the star game changers? He believes is all mental because he's assumed all players put in work. Maybe I'll offer a better explanation being I played pro basketball. Ali, I have talked about this topic extensively in several places. First of all, go to on my channel in the playlist, the mental game / motivation playlist. I talk about this in several videos, so watch through the playlist and you'll see the videos talking about that. And also If you look at my books, the Mental Handbook, The Mirror of Motivation, and my first book, Buy a Game, I talk about the mental side of the game in detail extensively. So you go to those places, you'll see that I've talked about this ad nauseum many times. The difference between the two is just a higher state of confidence. I mean, basketball is a game of confidence. Almost every sport is when you get to the highest levels, because everybody's really good. So the higher your confidence, the more unshakable your confidence, the better the player you're going to be, in simple terms. But if you want more detail, again, go to those places that I just told you. Devin Lacerna says, one of my favorite shoes to ball in. I just put out a video about that about 6 weeks ago, the shoes that I play ball in currently, so go check that. You'll see the video. B-Baller AZ says, which of my programs is best for ball handling? Probably the one that's called Ball Handling. I got 2 DVDs, one called The Real Is Back, the other called The Real Is Back 2, on 2 separate bundles. There is the Complete Ball Handling Bundle and the Signature Handles Bundle. The Complete Ball Handling Bundle comes with the first DVD, Ball Handling, Passing, and Crossover Program. The second one comes with the second DVD, The Real Is Back 2. That's another ball handling DVD. It also comes with the Chris Paul and Kyrie Irving signature workout programs, which are both 30 days each. Mr. Prototype Reckon says, do I feel in a game if you overthink a move or a play, you tend to not finish as well as to instinctive actions, because he tends to turn the rock over if he thinks too hard. If you think too hard, if you're thinking in the middle of a game, then you're already making a mistake, because the game of basketball moves too fast for you to stop and think, what should I do? What moves should I make? What should I do with the ball? In the game of basketball, you got to react. It's a game of reaction. Action and reaction. How do you know how to react or what to do? That's feel. That's instinct. How do you develop feel and instinct? By playing in games. How do you have the feel and instinct to do good things, good moves? By practicing. Playing games, practice. And then you want to think during the game. If you're thinking during the game, that means you haven't done enough of one or the other or both. The Got Game says, when was the first time I dunked on somebody? I don't know the exact time. Probably around age 16 or 17. Usually the follow-up to that is, how tall were you then? I have no fucking idea. Devin Thomas says, where'd I get the nickname Dre all day? I made it up. Daron Johnson says, what do you feel is the best way to attack a defender with a height advantage? Depends on the skills of the player. If a player got game, they don't have to think of the best way to attack them. They just do it. So if you're asking that question, just like I said in the previous question, you need to either play more games against people who have this advantage that you're having a problem with, or you need to practice more, or you probably need to do both. Joshua Nicholas says, would I can ever consider training someone from Pennsylvania if the business end of it was all good for a summer? So he basically asked me if I would take money to live in Pennsylvania for a summer. Well, I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, so I don't have a problem with being in Pennsylvania, but you had to offer me a hell of a lot of money to not live in Miami for an entire summer. So the answer to your question is yes, but I don't think you're prepared to make me that offer. Muha Lizde says, is Stephen Curry the best shooter in the league? I would have to say so. I mean, he just broke the record for threes in the season. I think that pretty much wraps the title up for him. Mauricio Ruoco says, what are my thoughts of playing D2 basketball and then transferring to a D1? I don't have any thoughts on it. I mean, if that's what you do, that's what you do. You got to ask me a much more specific question than that. Also, besides emailing coaches, what else should I do to get their attention? He didn't play AAU, so he's at a disadvantage. All right. I like the second part to this question. Besides emailing coaches, what should you do to get their attention? Work on your fucking game. Work on your fucking game. Get some skills, and then you'll have their attention, because they'll be coming after you. All right. There's no certain things you can do to get the coach's attention. There are no gimmicks. All right, you got to have game. If you want to get on in basketball, I mean, you might be able to pull a gimmick and get some temporary attention, but lasting attention that a coach gives a damn about you, you got to be good. If you're not a good player, the coach is not going to pay attention to you. So all you players out there who claim you're not getting enough exposure, it's because you're not fucking good enough. All right, when you're good, they find you. It don't matter how small your school is, how small your town is, how weak your teammates are, what your coach doesn't know, all the bitch-ass excuses I hear in emails every single day. If you can play, they will find you. Trust me. If they haven't found you yet, it's because you ain't good enough. That's the reality you need to face. Afro No Mo. And the last part, he said he didn't play AAU, so he's at a disadvantage. That ain't no excuse. I mean, AAU can help you get seen by more people, but since you said you didn't play, it's over now. Stop using that as an excuse. AAU's over. The fact that you didn't play is over. You got to deal with the reality that you're living in right now, which is you need to play better if you want people to notice you. That's just the facts of the situation. Afro No Mo, he says, how are my preseason predictions looking? I have, let me see, he brought up two things. He says, do I still think LeBron's going to win MVP? I mean, we're not even halfway through the season yet, so it's hard to say right now. Kevin Durant's playing great, of course. And do I think he's going to win a championship? Again, we're not even halfway through the season yet. It ain't like they're going to miss the playoffs, so ain't really nothing else to say about that. And again, it was a preseason prediction. Guaranteed wrong when your money back. That's what Greg Easterbrook likes to say. Emilio Sanchez says, I talk a lot about some of the books I read. What are some of my favorites and why? Some of my favorite books. Anything by Robert Greene. 48 Laws of Power, 33 Strategies of War, Art of Seduction, Mastery, The 50th Law, Tim Ferriss, 4-Hour Work Week, 4-Hour Body, 4-Hour Chef, Tucker Max. Tucker Max wrote Hope They Serve Beer in Hell, Assholes Finish First, Sloppy Seconds. Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers, Tipping Point, What the Dog Saw. What did he just write? David and Goliath. I think he got one other that I can't blink. There's the other one he wrote. So I say my favorite authors and Relentless by Tim Grover. So my 5 favorite authors: Robert Greene, Tucker Max, Tim Ferriss, Malcolm Gladwell, Tim Grover. And why? Go to my website, click on the link that says books I read, and I write why I like these books. So you can go read that yourself. CJ Kennedy said, can I rate T-Mac 1 to 10 as a player? What would I rate him? T-Mac when? Tracy McGrady when he retired, or T-Mac in his prime? In his prime, he was a 10. He's one of the best players in the league. Probably one of the top 2 or 3 in his prime. When he retired, he wasn't really good no more. He was at the end of the bench. So you got to give me a little bit more detail than just 1 to 10. Speaking of Tracy McGrady is in the signature workouts package Reloaded that is coming February 1st. Tracy McGrady signature workout program coming February 1st. Raymond Tarka says, I haven't had any coaches or teammates I didn't like. Absolutely. So what was the problem and how did I deal with it? You can read my book, Buy a Game, where I speak about that in detail. The book is free. DreAllDay.com/buy-a-game. Buy as in buy at the store. B-U-Y, the letter A, game, G-A-M-E. Andy Sketch Talk says, what's my daily routine like? Work up, work on my game, wake up, work on my game, go to sleep, then wake up and do it again. Two Visions RS. He says, I love your shit. I've been watching for 2 years. You've inspired me to work on my game seriously as well, to eat better and become a happier person, healthier person in general. So thanks for that. You're welcome. Matthew Trung says, if I was guarding myself, what would I do? I would pray to God. Viral Presence Crafter says, well, he asked me some personal business questions which won't be addressed. And then he says, I'm hilarious when I reply on some of these. So thank you. I'm glad I'm able to entertain you. John Michelle Sillier says he's a 17th average person. No, he's 17. He's average. He loves basketball. He's from the Caribbean. He's from St. Martin. Plays in Guadeloupe. He doesn't have any family support. Nobody's giving him any support besides himself. How can he get noticed and get out of there so he can play on a higher level? What are his steps and what can he do at his age? Same thing I told the other dude, Jean-Michel, work on your fucking game. Get your game up and then people will take notice at you. There is no magic trick to it. There's no magic formula. There are no magic words. There's no step-by-step. You do this, 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 you're guaranteed to be in the NBA. It don't work like that. You just got to get better and you got to keep playing against players who are better than you, proving yourself over and over and over and over again. Basketball is a competitive game. It's competition. Life is a competition. You want to move up to the higher levels in this sport, you got to keep performing over and over and over again, year after year after year, game after game after game. There is no guaranteed way that's going to definitely work for you. You got to figure it out. If you want to make it as bad as you say you do, you will take full responsibility and you'll get there. Mon Rosales. Oh, another thing is, Jean-Michel, you go to my website, DreAllDay.com. On the guides and tips page, guides and tips, I got a whole bunch of guides and tips on how people can how people can make their way from point A to point B. Yeah, like I said again, there's no guarantees, but I have guidelines on certain principles that apply to everyone, no matter your situation. So go to my website and read that page. Mon Rosales says during practices and scrimmages, he's scoring, he drives to the basket, he gets fouls, but when it comes to the game, he gets nervous. He doesn't have the confidence to drive to the basket and get a foul. He needs help on how to avoid losing confidence and getting nervous during game time. Also on the guides and tips page, I got guides and tips on that. Losing confidence, being confident in the game, being nervous in the game, not playing basketball scared. In general, Mon Rosales, I say number one thing you need to do is play in a bunch more games. The thing that you keep fucking up on, you need to keep doing it over and over again until you stop fucking up. In general, but again, go to the guides and tips page and read what I wrote, which is in much more detail. Sid the Prodigy says, I have respect for you, but what I said to that kid wasn't right. I don't know who he's talking about, but let's just see what he says. He says, if a kid says he can't ball, should he focus on his education? Why should I just shut him down? I was always taught that if you got a dream, protect it. Well, Sid the Prodigy, guess what? Another thing you should have been taught is that when you in my house, you play by my rules. You on my channel right now. So whatever the fuck I want to say, I'm going to say. And if you don't like it, stay the fuck off my channel. All right? Whether you like that or not doesn't matter to me because, again, you in my house. So whatever I say, that's how it's going to be. And you have a choice to watch this video or not watch this video. You also have a choice to leave a comment or not leave a comment. Next question, Johnny Yadane says, I'm good at basketball when I play one-on-one or three-on-three, but he's not great at full court because he doesn't have a great IQ. He's a point guard. What do I think he should do? Same thing I told the other guy, Johnny, you need to play in a bunch more full court games. You're great in one-on-one and three-on-three, so instead of playing in those, play 5-on-5 so you can get better at the thing that you're not good at, which is playing 5-on-5. You don't get an IQ by reading, watching, talking. You get an IQ by playing, experiencing, getting your ass kicked, coming back and getting better. Stat Player 2301. Do I think I can beat Trey Good or Jay Jones in a one-on-one? Set the game up. Set it up and we'll go from there. I ain't even going to keep going back and forth about no YouTube ballers. Muha Lizde says, have I ever been mixed? How bad was it? By mixed, I guess he means like somebody do a nice move on you or a crossover or something like that. I think that's what mixed means. How bad was it? I mean, where I come from, I came up playing ball in the street, pick up ball in the street, so everybody gets crossed over. Sometimes people get dunked on, and you cross people over, you dunk on people. That's just how it goes. So there's no how bad was it. I mean, I don't know how to quantify it. You get crossed, you get crossed. You get scored on, you get scored on. You keep playing, and that's all there is to it. Lucas Hernandez says, what's my opinion on the high school players' mixtapes? I don't watch any high school players' mixtapes. Maybe one or two if something's brought to my attention, but I don't really watch that stuff. He says, is it too much flash, hurting the youth or affecting them? And then new NBA versus old NBA, which do I prefer? Do I think too much flash is hurting the youth? I don't really care. I mean, I don't really watch basketball outside of the NBA. So college and high school basketball, I don't really know what the fuck is going on. A lot of the players in the draft, I don't even know what they look like till the draft is coming up. And then I check some of the videos, the scouting and all that stuff. New NBA versus old NBA, I don't even know what you mean by that. You gotta give me a little bit more detail. Jamaican Teeth says, when you were younger, what did people tell you were your worst habits in practice? Read my book, Buy a Game, dreallday.com/buy-a-game. I wrote about that and discussed it in detail. Not only what people said to me, but what I thought myself and what I thought about it at that time and what I think now reflecting back on it. Read the book, it's perfectly free. Victor Mwamba says, do I still ball with high school and college teammates? No, not really. None of my high school or college teammates is playing basketball anymore. What's my idea of a perfect point guard? There's no such thing as a perfect point guard. Everybody has their own game. Basketball is an imperfect game. The best player in the league shoots, the best shooting percentage in the league is somewhere between 50 and 60 something percent. So there's no such thing as perfect in basketball. Everybody turns the ball over, everybody misses shots, everybody gets scored on. So there's no perfect. Sirach Abraham says, lots of us want to know, am I going to enter the NBA draft? The NBA draft, I'm not eligible for. You can only be in the draft process one time when you finish college. After that point, you are a free agent. GZ Dog Spin. Do I think the Kyrie Irving program will help someone become a better scorer? If they follow the program and do what they're supposed to do and do the work, then yes, I do think they'll become a better scorer. But you got to do the work first. You want to guarantee before you do the work, don't work that way. Do the work and then you'll get the results. Heat Nation says, have ever been trash talked in another language? I don't know. The only language I speak fluently is English, so if somebody trash talked me in another language, I wouldn't even know what they were saying. George Haddad says, thanks for the tips, really helpful. You're welcome, George. Adrian Grant says, since I have experienced tendinitis, which I had in college briefly, he was wondering if I could help him with that. What should he do? Instead, he has wrist tendinitis. I have no fucking idea, George. No, that's not George, that's Adrian. Adrian, you need to see a doctor or Google it. You on the internet, Google it. I'm sure there's plenty of information out there if you just look for it. Jack Hankin says, what form do I use when shooting free throws? What do you mean? I just shoot the fucking ball. I got a tutorial on shooting free throws on my channel, Dre Baldwin, how to shoot free throws. Emmanuel, useless question. Ty Breezy says, who's a better shooter, Curry or Durant, and how'd they get the name Punch Card? Right now, I had to go with Curry. And actually, as I'm recording this, I think Kevin Durant just the other day said he thinks Curry's the better shooter. Of course, he's gonna say that. You know, he ain't going. That's just the way he is. He's gonna say that even if he thinks he's the best. But I'm gonna go with Curry because he just broke the record for threes last season, and he's still shooting pretty fucking good this year. So I think he's the better shooter. And he says, how'd I get the name Punch Card? That was when I did the Nike Summer Series game. Those of you who don't know about that, go to my channel. The playlist is a playlist called Summer is Serious. And Nike made that up, so you had to ask them. I didn't make that up, they did. Elias Money says, I play football instead of basketball. What position would I play and why? Probably wide receiver because I'm tall. But I never really played football. Somebody who played football said that to me once. I didn't really ask him for details, so I'll just say wide receiver. D Flash says, in practice I'm confident and I dominate, but in games I get nervous. How can I play in games with the same confidence as practice? As I said, guides and tips page, I wrote guides on that in detail. More than one of them, all on that page, dreallday.com. Click on the link that says guides and tips. It's all right there. Cliff Harmon, do I think AAU basketball is good for kids to develop your game? Did I play AAU? I think it's good for kids to develop your game. That's a loaded question. It depends on the kid, depends on the program, depends on their skill set, depends on what they're working on, depends on who they're playing with, depends on who they're playing against, depends on what they had before they got there. So all those things factor in. So that is not a black and white yes or no question. Did I play AAU? I did not. If you read my book, Buy a Game, dreallday.com/buy-a-game, you can read about my entire basketball upbringing from when I first started playing up to and through my college years. It's all written there in detail. Sam Kessler says, do I have any spiritual beliefs? We ain't here to talk about that on this channel. Coach Alex Mastro has said, have I ever thought about coming to Australia? Absolutely. I do want to absolutely visit Australia. Maybe it'll be as a basketball player. Maybe it'll just be, you know, a vacation or some shit like that. But I do plan on seeing Australia. Yes. Lev Torres says, why is the gym that I practice in empty? He likes open courts, but the ones he plays in are always filled up. The gym I play in is empty because everybody else is on YouTube watching me and wondering why my gym is empty. So if you don't want my gym to be empty, go work on your game and then you won't even care what gym I'm in. Maceo King says, do I think it's safe to play with normal contact lenses? Are you more susceptible to injury then? Alright, first of all, Maceo, I wear contact lenses and I don't see how contact lenses can make you susceptible to injury. What the hell does that have to do with anything? That makes no sense. If you're afraid of getting injured, then you're doing the wrong thing playing sports in general. Go be a secretary or something, a janitor. Sports, you can get injured in sports. You can't prevent an injury. Nobody plans to get injured. It just happens. An injury is an accident, like a car accident. You don't plan to get in a car crash. They just happen. And he says, when do you usually go to sleep and wake up? Whenever I feel like falling asleep, and I wake up when the alarm goes off, whatever time I set it to. Maurice Pitt says, how tall were you when you were in high school? I do not know. Don't ask me to guess because then I'll be lying to you and the information be useless. Mr. Convex says he likes that I keep it real with the questions and don't sugarcoat shit. He likes to answer the simple and point, and that's what you do. Respect. Respect back, Mr. Convex. Mr. Convex says, have I ever been crossed so bad that I fell? Have I ever been posterized? I know I've never been posterized. I've been dunked on, but not posterized. I don't think I got any dunk ons in video. Any crossed over that I fell? Maybe once, maybe when I was a teenager back in Philly. It was like I said, I grew up playing ball in the street, concrete pickup ball, so I'm sure It's happened, but it ain't never been nothing like ridiculous, and it was way before camera phones and YouTube and all that shit. So there's no footage of it. So if I just one day decide to say it never happened, then nobody can prove that it did. Tyrone Chris says, do I have a PS4 Xbox One? Do I play 2K14? No, no, and no. VLDMR1 says, how's the basketball competition I played against in Philly compared to Miami? He asked more than one question. All right, Philly compared to Miami, Philly is way better. Miami is not a serious basketball town. It's looked at as one because LeBron James came here and Dwayne Wade in the Heat, but the Heat is a job. Like, you work for the Heat, like, you just part of the NBA. It's not like LeBron from Miami, you know, and neither is Dwayne Wade. There are people who play ball here. There are some serious good players here, but in general, the way I look at players, like any city you go to, there's going to be pros and college guys. But what I look at when I'm looking at a city and evaluating their players, I look at the average guy, like the guy who don't play college or pro ball, not even trying to. He don't have that quote-unquote hoop dream. He working 9 to 5 somewhere, but then he go play ball after work. I want to see how good that guy is. When those guys are good, that's when the ball is good in that city. Like the city I come from, Philly, dudes who went to work 9 to 5 every day, they never even played college ball. They just play street ball, pick up because they love playing ball. Them dudes can ball. They can go. In Miami, the dudes here, the average guys, they can't really play. A lot of them is really trash. And they make the rec leagues weak. Like in the rec leagues, you'll have like, there's 10 people on the court. You'll have anywhere between 3 and 5 guys who can actually play, and then you'll have like 7 to 5 guys, 5 to 7 guys who can't play at all, but you can't replace them because there ain't enough good players to replace them. Like I also always said, they need to have a pro-am in Miami. Like they used to have one, but they stopped having it. But if they did have a pro-am, they had to get all the bum-ass players. They had to exclude them and only had the good players. But I'm not sure we got enough good players in this town to have a pro-am. I don't know though, because I wasn't around when they had it, so I don't know what the league was like. But to answer your question, the pickup ball, the average player, the pickup ball in Philly is way better than it is in Miami. That's why I don't really play pickup basketball no more, because the pickup here is weak. He has another question. He said, all the cities and countries I played, where would I say has the best competition? Oh, all the cities and countries I played, who I say has the best competition? I mean, I guess you basing it on the league that I was playing in, because I can't base it on the city, because it's not like I was just walking around the city playing pickup. I was playing for the team. The best league, it had to be the first place I played was Lithuania. The Lithuanian league, definitely the best league. It's not even a doubt about it. Next question, Rishab Metora says, have you ever tried dribbling a ball inside a plastic bag because Kyrie Irving did it? No. And because Kyrie Irving did it would not make me want to do it. But that's just me. You can choose for yourself. And then, have I ever heard of Jesse Munch? I've heard of him. Do I watch him? No, I don't. Sebastian Luis Scott Swag says, I'm 13, I'm 5'11", I'm a great jogger, but I'm not a good shooter. What program should I use to improve my shooting? Try the shooting program. You can also try programs that are signature programs that are players who shoot jump shots. Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Durant, Stephen Curry. All players who shoot a lot of jump shots. There's a lot of shooting in each one of those programs. So you can try those. You can try to Get Buckets package, which is about 8 programs together. And the shooting program is a program in itself. Brandon Sewa says, I'm unathletic. I have big bones. I'm average in height. Would I suggest working on the post, passing, or shooting, or become a good driver to the basket? Brandon, why you got to do one? Why can't you do all of them? Work on your game. Whatever you want to get better at, you'll get better at. You want me to tell you what to work on? I can't really answer that question based on the information you gave me. I would have to actually see you play and also get an idea of where you plan on going in basketball before I could tell you these are the things you can focus on. So why not work on all of them? I don't understand why you had to pick one. Conballer23 says, am I a LeBron fan? Now who's my favorite player in the NBA currently? I answered that already. I'm a fan of all good players. So anybody who's a good player, I'm a fan of. So any good player you can name, basically everybody who make the All-Star, I'm a fan of all of them. They all good players. So I can watch a good player take something from their game and possibly incorporate it into my game and my style. So am I a fan of LeBron James, who's the best player? Absolutely. Bill SJBA, he says, do I think in season is the most common time for a player to feel rusty? I didn't know there was a common time to feel rusty. The only time a player feels rusty is when they stop working. So no, the answer to your question is no. I don't think there is a common time. The only time you'll feel rusty is if you stop working. So if you call yourself a player, then why would you stop working? John Dave says he's from Texas, Amarillo, Texas. He just started dunking every day 2 months ago until he got tendinitis. He can still ball, but he can't jump that high. Have ever had jumper's knee? What can he do to get rid of jumper's knee? John Dave, DreAllDay.com/jumper's knee. DreAllDay.com/jumper's knee. Me and Jacob from Jump Manual, we took care of that. So answers to all your problems is right there. Black Mamba says, how tall are my parents? 5'7", 5'8", something like that. Again, like I said, I hit the lottery. Alright. ASG the Block 34 says, what's the best move to get to the basket when playing one-on-one? Why would there only be one move to get to the basket? There's no such thing as the best move. If you got game, then just stepping on the court is your best move. There is no one move that will always work against every player every time. As soon as you do a move on a guy, he's seen that move, so you might not be able to use that move again because they're going to be anticipating it. And then when you play against a different player, they got a whole different set of experiences. They might play you completely differently. So there is no one move to get to the basket in one-on-one. If you were asking that question, again, there are 2 things you're missing. Oh, we gotta let the ambulance go by. If you're asking the question, what's the best move to use, the 2 things you're missing. 1, you need to play in more games. 2, you need to practice more. And number 3, you probably need to do both. David James says, who do I think will win the Super Bowl? All right, so we got the Broncos against the Seahawks. So I like Peyton Manning, so I'm going to go for the Broncos. Don't put no money on that. Thomas from Canada says, what's my best pro season and what's the funnest season I ever had playing basketball? Best, I'd probably say when I was playing in Montenegro. That was fun. The funnest, probably when I was in Mexico. And that was more fun off the court than on the court. But if you go to my website, DreAllDay.com, again, I wrote about each one of these experiences in detail. All you got to do is read it. It's on there. It's free. Joseph Slim says, I want to improve my left hand and become a better ball handler overall. He was working on the left/weak hand hoop handbook. His question is, what should he start with between the ball handling and the left hand? He just wanted a second opinion. What does it matter? Are you going to do both? It doesn't matter which one you do first. Do both of them. Just get it done. It doesn't matter at all which one you do first. Diego Galarza. We only got about 4 questions left. Diego says, how do you avoid getting the ball stolen from defenders who reach a lot? It happens to me when I do a crossover. You avoid it by working on your handle so that you stop getting the ball stolen from you. You work on it by playing in more games. You develop a feel for what dribbling moves to use at what times. There's no way to avoid failure. All right, this is the problem with your question is you're looking to avoid failure. That's impossible in basketball. Basketball is an imperfect game. Even the best players in the world turn the ball over. The other night, Kevin Durant had 11 turnovers. Every player gets turnovers. Every player missed shots. LeBron James was setting the sports world on fire when he was shooting 60%. That means 4 out of every 10 shots don't go in. He still turns the ball over. Everybody gets scored on. Basketball is an imperfect game. You cannot avoid turnovers. You cannot avoid missing. You cannot avoid losing. You cannot avoid getting scored on. What you need to focus on is how do I get better at handling? How do I get better at defense? How do I get better at taking care of the ball? Look at it from a different angle. You're looking at it from the wrong end of the spectrum. Jeezy again says, do I think would it be better to be a scorer, for a scorer to be a scoring point guard or a shooting guard? It doesn't matter. It depends on the game situation and the situation of that player and his team. There is no better. Frosty Bread. Do I think Carmelo Anthony is better off the dribble or off the post up? I think he's pretty fucking good either way. But I think as far as efficiency goes, for any player in general, the closer you are to the basket, the higher percentage chance of the shot going in. That's just simple math. Statistics, mathematics. The closer you are to the basket, the more likely the shots go in. Mustafa Idris. Do I think LeBron is MVP? Do I think KD deserves it? Season ended today, KD will probably win. But the season doesn't end today. We're just about halfway through the season, so it's a little bit too early to say who's going to be MVP. But I know that's all people want to talk about since we got all this accessibility to speak in our minds. But for me, season still half of it to go, so too early to say. But right now, Kevin Durant will be MVP, yes, but season ain't over right now. So that's it. Thank you everybody for coming through with the questions. Again, if you have questions for me besides what you've already heard, leave them in the comments to this video. I will address them next week. Do not come in these comments and reply with your own answers. You will be blocked off this channel, and I don't give a fuck what you said or how you said it. And that's it. Work on your game. For those of you who don't know, Signature Workouts Reloaded. Next package is coming February 1st. Paul Pierce, Damian Lillard, Jamal Crawford, Tracy McGrady, Gilbert Arenas, Tony Parker, Weekend Warrior program, and there's a couple other I can't remember. Blake Griffin, there's one other person that I say Tracy McGrady. There's one other person I can't remember. But if you go to my website, dreallday.com, see the video on my channel, the main featured video, Paul George is the other guy. I didn't say him. That's coming February 1st. I got a pre-order package right now, hoophandbook.com, right there on the front page. Work on your game, dreallday.com.
Actually, hold on. Let's see. Dre's got the ball. Let's see what he does here. Okay, he's fucking cooking him.